then it's perfect.
All right. Hi, Janet. Come on over. Just call me
Nope, you're fine right where you are. I'll put them around.
There and there.
We'll put people right here. Yeah, that'd be better. We'll stack it up.
Sorry, I'm late.
You want to pull some chairs in there for me?
Like,
A couple chairs?
It's okay. She understands.
You gonna sit on the edge again?
You know.
Yeah, I live on the edge.
She's older than I am too.
My friend's supposed to be coming. I was waiting for
Back
her.
here, I'm going to lift this chair. I want to make
One in
it.
front there.
Yeah,
There's one in
so
front.
more experience.
Careful. There's another.
No, that's okay. You don't have to go way up.
Put you right in the middle.
No, you can go up there.
And there's one on the side there.
You want to come in here?
Yeah.
Go ahead and come in.
Unless you want, you can get a front row seat.
There you go,
We
Jan.
have all kinds.
I didn't tell my friend till the last minute. I said, well, maybe she'd be interested. So I texted her, and she said she was gonna try and come. She only lives across the street.
We'll move you if we need to.
There's one up there if you want.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but it's in the back. Yeah.
No, I
Further
like
back.
this
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit in front of you, I guess,
A
huh?
good spot. Pretty jacket. Very pretty.
You got one up here.
She said she likes
No,
that.
I
You're
don't.
comfortable where you are?
I'm very comfortable right
Good,
behind
good.
the big hole. Whose chair is it?
She's saving it for her friend.
Oh,
supposed to be coming.
I see.
She's got a friend coming.
Okay,
If not, we'll move you over.
that's fine. No, I'm fine right here.
I know she has trouble walking too, so I figured it'd be at the end.
Can
so
you
she
hand me one of those
I get
notebooks?
called all kinds of things. Not all of them great.
Did I sign up?
Yeah, she has trouble walking, so I figured I won't have her walk so far.
Sorry, he was off today.
I bet that's for school, I
Should
bet,
we?
don't you?
I rushed one of these, or is that?
Yeah, you can take one of those.
Did you
I
want
heard that
notes or
some
you
people
want
had
to write it
questions
on your
about
pad?
stints.
You want a pen?
Yeah, no, I have a pen.
So I brought a little information for you about stints too. They'll pass them around here so everybody has kind of info on stints and whatnot.
I got your paper right here.
That
Oh.
way everybody's got the info.
There was a
Oh,
request
okay.
to talk about stents. So he's gonna
Okay.
There we go. A couple more. Around here. And that way you have a little something. You guys got it. Look at that. Just in case you want to read it twice. We'll leave another one there in case somebody else wants it. All right. This foundation? That's the foundation that I have set up. We go around the world and we help people. We train them how to save lives. Teach them CPR, basic life support. We have a bunch of healthcare providers. We'll teach them even advanced things, advanced cardiac life support, pediatrics, in case you run into a baby, things like that. So we go around and we teach people everywhere how to save lives. It's cool. This last week we just did it online, all of the training online. So if they have an internet connection, they can learn online. A lot of online learning going on right now. Very, very cool. It is. That's the future. So it's completely a cool thing. So we're completely and totally stoked to actually have that all set up. So today, guys, we'll talk about stroke prevention, okay? This is a short presentation, so we'll have tons of time for questions, okay, and whatnot afterwards, because we had a lot of good questions last time, okay? But just to talk a little bit about stroke, so we're going to talk about how to spot a stroke. There are a few symptoms that are pretty good at being able to tell whether somebody might be experiencing a stroke. Now, this is super duper important because if it's recognized early, it can usually be treated really well, okay? And when it's treated well, it's not that big of a deal,
What's
okay?
the time frame? Somebody said there is.
Usually 90 minutes.
He hasn't gotten to that yet.
Like, but like,
He'll get there.
there's a little thing that's called, like a little mnemonic we always use in the medical world called time is brain, okay? So it's very time sensitive. So minutes matter. So the sooner that you actually can call for help and get somebody to come and treat them, it makes all the difference. Like not waiting like a day. That's, you know, like, he'll feel a little better. Like, he'll come out of it, he's okay. Even if you're concerned, just call. Okay? By yourself, if you notice you're by yourself and you're having kind of symptoms, that kind of thing, you notice it of yourself. If you can call, or if you can get around someone who can call, anything like that, that's kind of the best you can do. Just anything to kind of make it to where that works out. So 800,000, almost 800,000 Americans suffer strokes, either recurrent or new, every year. So a pretty huge problem.
How do you distinguish the stroke versus
Clot versus blood hemorrhage. From the symptoms, you can't. From the CT that they do, very easy. So, but like as far as the symptoms and what you'll see, you know, like either yourself, somebody that you know, you won't be able to distinguish the difference. Okay? They're treated differently, but at that point you're not going to be treating them anyway. Somebody else is, so it's not going to make any difference. Okay? Like you'll have that worked out. Okay? So, fourth biggest cause. Now, the reason the American Heart Association, everybody is so acutely interested in making sure that everybody's aware of it. Right now, 37% of people don't exactly know how to spot a stroke. Okay, so we want to make sure we know how to spot a stroke, so that way we can respond to it quickly and be able to treat it right away. Okay, so those are the big things that we're going to go over today. So we'll go into initially, like, what is a stroke? Okay, it's a blockage of blood flow as it goes into the brain. You can think of it as kind of a heart attack is when your heart has a blockage of some sort and blood can't get to it and it stops, right? It's almost like a brain attack, so to speak. Again, blood not getting to where it needs to go, that area that's not getting blood, doesn't get happy, so to speak. At that point, whatever it was doing to function for your body, that's gonna stop happening. And when that stops happening, you're going to start getting symptoms. That people start having symptoms for that kind of stuff. Okay? So, basically what we do whenever you go into the hospital is we try to open that clot. If it's a hemorrhage, we look to close up that artery that is open that needs to be closed. Okay? So, the spread on that usually, there's ischemic and hemorrhagic. Like we were saying, like ischemic is when you have a clot. Okay? Like there's something kind of clogging everything up. No blood can get past it. That's the most common. Okay, 87%, all that. Symptom-wise, you guys won't be able to tell the difference. Okay. The bleeding, it's about 13%, so not quite as many people with bleeding as opposed to ischemic. Okay. Warning signs are called TIAs, transient ischemic attacks. Basically, call them out like mini strokes that people will kind of notice. Strokes overall are 80% preventative. You can prevent strokes many times. Those warning signs, if you're noticing, well, it's not a full-blown stroke, you know, like it was okay.
Would you review the warning signs again, please?
Oh, we're going to be going into them a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, hang on, you're a great segue. I think where it's going next.
Right.
But like basically, like with the little warning signs that kind of can happen, if you're noticing little things like that, maybe time, check out with the doctor, make sure everything isn't getting kind of larger to a big stroke. Okay. Now, spotting a stroke, calling 911, basically a call right away. So, here are the main things. They have this nice mnemonic for us. Fast, okay? So F, facial droop. You'll notice one side of the face, you'll ask them to smile. They can smile one side, the other side isn't going anywhere. It just kind of sits there, okay? You may see it with people who've already had stroke and they have kind of residual effects from the stroke, where one side, it just doesn't function the way it once did, okay? They just can't move it. Okay, so in the event that you kind of see your friend and they're eating and all of a sudden they just can't really close their mouth on that side or something like that, you're like, what's going on? Or you kind of notice like, you know, they're trying to smile but only one side's coming up. Ask them to smile, they can't smile, call 911. Okay, arm weakness. How you test out arm weakness? If it's you, then it's pretty easy to tell. If it's somebody else, have them kind of raise their arms up. And if one they can raise, the other one just kind of drifts down, that's a good indication they don't have arm control. Okay, same thing can happen to your leg. That doesn't work well with the FAST acronym, so we need something with the name. Okay, so arm is a pretty common one. It'll kind of drift down. Now, if they have rotator cuff problems and they couldn't take their arm up to begin with, then you have to kind of know that ahead of time. but so like you can't expect them to be able to lift it up then. But if this is a new thing, highly indicative of a stroke. Okay, so at that point you want to call in right away. Okay. You may not have any pain at all. There's no real pain receptors in the cranium. Like pain receptors, you won't have a lot of pain. That's why some people don't realize that they have anything. So if your face is drooping down, you may not, unless you're going by a mirror or something, how would you know? You're not going to know because you don't feel it. right?
That's cool. That's why I'm
Arm weakness, you may notice you're just a little weak or whatever, but like, you know, like, why, like pain-wise, you're not going to notice a pain from kind of a
Do you
stroke.
make any difference when they say with the heart attack, take aspirin, anything that would help, like to take right away to
Biggest thing right away is just to call 911. They'll get to you, and they're going to start treating you right away. Aspirin, stuff like that, more helpful for heart than it is for stroke. In the immediate treatment outcome. Like immediately after how to treat it, you're right. Crushing up an aspirin, having them chew on an aspirin is really great for heart attack. Not shown to be all that helpful for stroke yet, because at that point they have a clot, and basically they need to get in there and usually open it up as little as possible. Okay? Yeah, please.
Say like if you have a brain bleed and you would have taken an aspirin.
That can make it exponentially worse.
Yeah.
Yep. So a lot of times people who even people who have strokes are on aspirin anyway.
I'm fine, thank you.
You know, like that's sometimes why they have a hemorrhage anyway. So like aspirin,
thought of that one.
you know what I mean? Like blood thinners, stuff like that, they can kind of make your body's ability to clot. That's the whole point of why you're taking them. Makes your body's ability to clot kind of go down. So aspirin, when it comes to strokes, just don't. It's not as though you don't take aspirin because you're scared of stroke. You take aspirin, you take aspirin, but you just don't use it in the treatment right away. Okay. Speech difficulty. This is another one. You're still trying to talk to somebody, or you're hearing someone else, and they just sound like they have like marbles in their mouth. Like they can't enunciate. Do what? Have you had?
Twice it's happened to me in the last 6 years. I'm talking on the phone. We're talking, all of a sudden, gibberish. That's what we call
From you or them?
Me.
Oh.
And I
And
said,
that's
then
normal
I-
or not normal
and I
for
knew
you?
No. That was me, Fritz.
Oh.
But anyway, I called my doctor then.
Yeah.
And he said, well, if it happens again, call 911.
That's right.
So nothing happened. And I saw him a couple times in between. So the last time it happened, maybe 3 years ago, on the phone again. And we're having a conversation. I started this gibberish.
Now for you, how long did that last?
It lasted about 30 seconds, and I realized it. I said, I gotta go. So I told my doctor about it. He sent me to a specialist. He put me through a battery of speech tests, brain tests.
Sure.
He said it was a little TIA, a mini.
Yep.
And he said if it
So
keeps
that's kind of
happening,
your warning sign. So
Yeah.
you did exactly the right
For
thing.
heaven's sake.
and he said if it keeps up, if this happens more frequently, I haven't had it now in 3 years.
Right.
Very careful on the phone when I say
But right now, if you were to, at this point, have the same type of thing happen, what would you do? What's your course of action?
Oh, I'd probably forget about it.
No, I mean like if you were to talk on the phone right now, you're starting to talk gibberish.
Good luck.
Then what? Then what do you do right afterwards?
I'd probably call my doctor.
I'll remember both you guys if I
I
get
would
rich
call
this time.
911 if I feel
Anybody else want to help her?
Call
Gotta
911.
call 911 first.
What can 911 do?
They'll send out an ambulance.
Yeah.
Paramedics. The paramedics will look at you. If your event is only lasting literally really short periods of time, they'll still take you in. They'll get you checked out. The risk would be if it was more than just a 30-second type deal. If it was longer, once they do a scan of your head, they see there's a blockage. You need to do something
That
about
would
it.
be,
So you want to call 911 first.
yeah.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if in the event, hopefully they don't happen anymore, but in the event that they do, then that's what you would want. Okay. That's what you want to kind of do.
Interesting.
So that's basically fast. The facial droop, kind of the arm drifting, okay? The speech difficulty, having trouble enunciating where you usually don't, okay? Much easier to tell in females rather than males.
Talk too much.
Do you know that's the same reason that females have less sleep apnea than males? Their tongues are stronger. That's actually true. That's very true. It's actually true.
I would think there would be a female they would say that about.
No, that's what I mean. Yes, females. Like they have less sleep apnea, right? Tongue doesn't fall in the back of their mouth while they're sleeping very much because their tongues are stronger. They exercise them more.
That's an advantage for us.
Okay, so it's good. Like that's a good thing, right? So those are all positive things. So, and then call 911. That's the T of it. Okay. Now there's other ones as well. These are other symptoms. outside of kind of the FAST, okay? So any numbness, weakness in the leg, doesn't have to just happen in the arm, it can happen in the leg too, okay? Sudden confusion, you're just confused, you don't understand, you're having trouble where usually you're really sharp and with it, and you're just kind of in a daze, you don't know exactly like what's going on, okay? Seeing out of one or both eyes, one eye just kind of goes kind of dark, black, almost like a curtain, the black curtain is what they call it. That can be a stroke in the artery that feeds that eye. Not terribly common, but not rare. Okay, that can happen. If so, don't call the eye doctor, call 911. Okay? Walking, dizziness, balance, coordination, those are all things that can happen as well. Severe headache, really big headache, not sure why, but this one would be one where you would have pain. Okay? Big headache, you're not really sure why. It's not horribly common, but that can be the case as well. Wow.
I have all of that.
I'm gonna get you checked out, young man.
Due to
Call 911.
Other causes?
severe spinal stenosis.
Ah, I got you. So again, like these are all things that are like.
Watch each other.
Now these are all things that are acute. You know what I mean? They happen just like that. We weren't having trouble with that before. Now all of a sudden, because I know plenty of people who are confused, but they're confused all the time. It's not because of a stroke, so to speak, as to why they're confused, right? Like they're just normally confused. That's how they are. So like theoretically, treating their head won't help them with their confusion. Okay? So time is really important. So you want to go ahead and get on the phone right away. Okay? So,
May I interject just for a moment?
Yeah, of course.
With what you just said, I was in the theater over here at Carillon, and one of our parishioners, tiny, watches her health, walking all the time, just perfect, all of a sudden had a massive headache, and she was down on the floor. And another friend of mine called 911 immediately. She had had a massive stroke, that tiny little healthy thing, you know, that I never dreamed what they did. They immediately took her to Edward and melted that stroke. Her name is Gloria Carlson, and I will witness to the fact that her life is because somebody called 911
Wow.
immediately.
Yeah, melted the stroke. They cleared the blockage.
They're able to put it in
She
that
is able
TPA is
to,
what they call it, and it dissolves. It's like a clot dissolve.
Do everything, yeah.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
people
that's why
around you
it's-
have to know what to do. Yeah, people around you have to know what to
So,
do.
so that's why,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
for you guys to be educated and kind of know kind of what needs to happen or what to look for, you're around a lot of people who have a pretty high risk of stroke. Okay? So, like, you guys are kind of the people who are kind of watching out for everybody else. You can talk to them, you can tell them kind of what needs to happen as well. That way, everybody is kind of protected. Does that make sense? That's why it's so cool, because, like, what'll happen when you go to the hospital, if they're able to kind of, if they do a CT scan, they're able to see the clot, as long as they can actually put some of the clot dissolving medicine, that can kind of open back up, blood can go back into the area. As long as it hasn't been too long since that area has been without blood, that area isn't dead yet. It will eventually die. Okay, but it all depends on how much time it's been without blood. That's why, like, the faster, just the better chance you're gonna have of bringing that back. Okay?
Yep.
Is there any chance, like a friend of ours, him and his wife lived together, she had a stroke, and it, I guess it was quite a way doing anything. So she's got pretty much pretty severe. She can't speak. She wants to say, but she can't work. Is there
That's
any
super
chance of
frustrating.
recovering that?
Yeah. Chance. It's not, it's certainly not for sure. And it's not terribly common to regain complete function. There have been cases where that's happened. So it's not impossible that she could regain at least partial function, if not full. But a lot of neurologists will tell you, depending on kind of where the stroke is and everything, that it's probably not reasonable to expect that. That's why it's so kind of catastrophic. Like, it can progress, it can get a little bit worse. Wait a day, wait a couple days.
But how rehab you're doing,
You can, but like for example, a little rule of thumb is that nerves kind of grow back
My
in inch a
girlfriend
month.
saw the signs.
So
She
they're not
was very
fast.
aware,
They
and
can
she was the only
very
girl
fast.
that called
For
911.
example,
Everybody
just
was
nerve
just gathered
pathology.
around.
My father, his shoulder, for some reason in January, they're not sure why, decided that, like that nerve bundle, decided just not really to work all that much. He did all kinds of studies, tons of, like, huge battery of studies, we can't figure it out. It's slowly regaining about an inch a month. That's really frustrating.
Wow.
Because he can't really do a whole lot with that arm now. He's a carpet installer and he does manual labor. He works all the time. So like for him to stay still is really tough. Okay? So like there's not even any guarantee that that'll actually grow back at that level. Okay? When it comes to the kind of stroke, same type thing, there's no guarantee it'll kind of go back. If you can catch it right away, then it's good. Now that one, as far as catching early and stuff like that, that's a weird, just one-off type thing. I don't know what the heck that even caused it. It wasn't a stroke or anything like that. But
That's engineer, no?
could have been. But like they're saying now, no. Yeah, like he's seen everybody and their brother, sister, and cousin. It's crazy. I spared nobody that could actually see him. I've seen them all. So more information on stroke, stuff like that. Warning signs, strokeassociation.org/warning signs. There's even a cool handy dandy app that the American Heart Association has for us too. It's the FAST mobile application, so another place where you do go to get good information about stroke. Wow.
So the heart itself doesn't have strokes, I mean, it doesn't have the rupture type, so
It can rupture. That's very uncommon for it to rupture. That doesn't happen very often at all. Because usually, like the head is in kind of a contained system. That's the skull that kind of holds it. And that's a blessing and a curse. It helps out for protection wise, so you can hit your head against something. At the same time, if there's an increase in pressure because blood comes out and there's pressure, the brain only has so much room that it can actually expand out before the pressure starts to actually impact your head of the brain. So that's why you need to open the skull, release the pressure, and that's where surgery comes in. Stents. Yep. Hopefully forever. So usually you don't have to re-stent areas. So we'll look at stents a little bit. So a little bit about stents, just kind of, because you can use stents actually for both strokes, only a few kind of strokes. More commonly, heart, okay? Stents, the ABCs of kind of what they're doing, okay? You have a narrowing of the artery, okay? It looks like my artery kind of drawing here. There we go. So you have an artery of some sort, rather than like a big clot that's kind of keeping blood from going this way, because your blood would be going from this way. And theoretically, bifurcating right here and going off of both those areas, clot in the way, holding everything back, right? Here, usually, over years and years, this will get narrow and narrow, like these areas will get plaque deposits on the side. Not really much because of an actual clot, just because of plaque, okay? Look at it as like a plumber. It's just that extra stuff that kind of continues to deposit around the lumen, okay? So making it smaller and smaller and smaller. So, there's different things they can do. They used to go in with a little balloon and just blow the balloon up. That helps. Now, better what they found is after they balloon, putting a stent in place. Okay? There's a couple different types of stents. There'll soon be 3 types of stents. Right now we have what they call bare metal stents. Those are metal stents without any drugs on them at all. Okay? In contrast to the drug-eluting stents, which have drugs on them. Okay? Now the drug, what it does is it helps to both mesh it with the actual lumen, so it actually stays in place a little bit better, and it kind of acts as an anticoagulant to keep things from sticking to it. That's the most common.
The first ones they did were the medical, what do they call them?
Yeah.
And they had to change them because it was blocking.
They switched them out. They can re-stenose, so they can accumulate again and do that. So that's why, like, first they had bare metal stents, then they noticed that those would, just like what happened initially, they would start to accumulate stuff on them, and before you know it, you need to open it up again, right? With the drug-eluting, our hope was, as a medical community, that like having stuff where maybe it would keep things from sticking quite all that well, keep it open a little bit longer. Now what they have are what they call dissolvable. So those will basically be put in there, but they will biodegradable. They actually like become one with the actual lumen, so there's nothing actually in place after a little while. So that's the newest technology that they have. It's not out quite yet, but
How long does that drug last in there?
it's hard to say. It's a good question. I don't know.
These stents they changed, they've been in him now for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
They've been fine, checks
It's a
them.
good question. I'm not sure how long the actual drug actually, continues to release.
She told him not to worry about it, I asked the same question. Don't worry about it. We'll check you out. Fine.
Their course of action is they would go ahead and they do a stress test. Okay, so basically whenever they're concerned about a hard challenge of some sort, they'll do an EKG initially. Okay, EKG is the electrical signal. If that is in any way worrisome, like it has a little dip in there or a raise in there that they're not really anticipating, or if they've done one previously, which is pretty common, if I've done one for you, and it's different in some way, then what they'll say is like, have you had trouble, doing any of your activities? Can you go up? Have you gone can you go up 2 flights of stairs without running out of breath or chest pain or anything like that? Most people can't do that. Well, I used to walk, for half an hour. Now I can walk for 10, and then I'm pretty winded. That's about it. At that point, that's just a very gross measure that your heart maybe isn't working quite as well as what it once did. Okay, at that point they do what they call a stress test. And all a stress test is like putting your heart through a workout and taking a look at it, usually with an echocardiogram, just an ultrasound, just to make sure everything is going. Okay. So what they'll do is they'll look at the heart and they'll make sure all sides are squeezing. Okay, and they're squeezing well. All right. They want it to squeeze to where every part squeezes at least 50% of the blood out every single time. Okay. If it's only doing this, about a 10%, that's not very good. You're going to get tired. It's not really pumping all that well. Okay. If, for example, this whole area here isn't moving at all when you get stressed out, now they know that something back here isn't working as well as what it should. Okay, so if a stress test is negative, or if you come back positive as though you didn't do well on that test, a lot of times what they'll do is what they call an angiogram. They'll put they can either go through arm, leg, come up here, squirt a little dye into all the arteries, be able to see it under an x-ray, be able to see, did it get real narrow in this area right here? So they can see exactly where the actual areas of narrowing are. Now from that point, they can either put in stents, they can balloon it, they could say, hey listen, it's pretty clogged up everywhere. I think you're probably going to need a surgery to put new ones on there because we can't even open up enough for you right now.
Yeah.
And that's where a bypass surgery comes into play.
After I failed my stress test in February, went in for the angiogram.
Yes.
Doctor came out and said, you're fine, you're at least 60% open. Don't worry about it.
See, there you go. So that means they looked in here, and this size is at least 60% of what they were anticipating. Therefore, the narrowing wasn't quite big enough to do any of those actions. You didn't need stents, which didn't need, obviously, surgery or anything like that. You were okay at this point.
What is your opinion of this new stress test for handicapped people that cannot walk on a treadmill? They give you a shot.
They give it through the IV?
Yes.
That's pretty common. That's a common
It's
one.
it's a safe procedure.
Yep, the nuclear stress test.
I'm
Just
supposed,
wondered about
yeah, I'm
that.
supposed to have that this next week.
I've had it twice.
Yeah, is it all right? Yeah. Yeah, I
I
can
think
walk
you-
the treadmill, but I could do it, but they still wanted me to do that.
Yeah.
I'm still, because they said it would show something that they couldn't see if I did the
Yeah,
treadmill. So
I
was
just
supposed to do that
wondered
next
about
week.
the relative safety and.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about,
It's going to be
yeah.
very safe. As far as stress tests go, it's safe to do those.
Because a lot of handicapped elderly like I am, I mean, I could no more get on
I
a.
mean,
I had the
you
idea.
just,
Well, I could do it and they still wanted to do the
you can't
chemical.
go fast enough to get your heart going. So
I haven't done it yet.
Maybe they have better control that way. than they
have
would
very
have.
good control
Uh-huh.
because you're giving the medication IV.
Well, that's good to hear.
And you can always take the medication away, and all of a sudden the heart rate goes back down.
Well, you could feel it too when they start pumping it into you. I looked at the screen, they have the screen up there and you
And
can see
you
it.
can see your
Really?
heart rate
So it's
increase.
as good
Amazing.
as
There's somebody there right with you all the time.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
So that's what makes it so cool, like as far as like that's if you can't actually get your body to actually go fast enough to make your heart rate fast enough to make sure your heart's doing okay, then we can give a drug that can make your heart do that, so that we don't have to stress your joints or whatever else is holding you back. Some people, emphysema, other things that just like hold them back. They can't actually do the physical treadmill or any other thing.
Right.
This friend of mine has the emphysema.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, it was fine. They said everything was fine.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I take my attendance for it. I come over there, so it's not 2 or 3.
I got a horrible headache and I don't get headaches. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was hurting here. Well, I have a medical alert. So the first thing I did was press that.
For you.
They could call my daughter, they sent the ambulance, they got there. I've got to go inwards, that's where my doctor is. Well, I'll
That's,
sign. I said, I'm going to
Georgia,
Edwards. When I go to
Armand.
the emergency
Oh, that's
room,
why.
they got everything there. The other hospitals don't have. But you have to sign if you get in Carolina if you want to go to Edwards.
Well, no, you say I'm
just
going
tell.
to Edwards and they'll take you.
Yeah,
We've done
but
it
you got to
twice.
sign for it.
Because we're
You
under
have to
insurance,
sign
we
for
have to
it.
use the whole Edward group.
Yeah. Well, they did everything. The first thing they did was CAT scan. And they did everything else, and they did, the doctor kept me in. They wanted, he said, you're going to do
I had 2
everything
strokes,
Yeah.
and I've had
Well,
3
the
skull
echogram
fractures.
was funny.
You can even
Because
feel
when
it.
they came and did it, he goes,
Did you
you've
fall?
got a hernia.
But anyway,
I said, I
was
was wondering why I
long
stay
time
fat
ago.
here. And he said,
the
what
last time
happened?
I
I said, well, I had
went,
2 colon resections.
first one,
And it's been, I don't really have to go through the same thing for my cancerous
I felt
polyps.
from
Yeah,
3
He said,
on
well,
the
it's,
side.
the wall is weak and,
Skull fracture.
Yep.
he said, don't worry
You could
about it,
still-
but I'll let you know there's a
But I
hernia
have
there.
constant pain.
But
Yeah.
they found that out by doing the,
It's
Heart rate
called
find
a
out.
migraine.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I
he said, it
also
doesn't
have
bother you? I
hot
says, no, I just don't like the bulge.
Yeah.
He said,
And I take martezapine.
When you do a stress test, like a nuclear one, they really do 2 things. They look at heart rate,
The
right,
reason I'm here
and blood
is
pressure.
I'm
But
always worried about
simultaneously, when they get done, they scan you to see how
The
the blood
CTC
is protecting your heart.
Yes.
I had one
Yep.
strokes.
Yep. And they
But I
usually
never
always do the
get numbers.
ultrasound.
You were just on
When
my
they
tree
did the
climber.
The ultrasound, you can see it from the outside, so you can see how
And
much.
each time I saw one,
Once
I
I've
was
gone,
climbing.
they just do it.
Oh,
They do it, they scan you back and forth to see how, and I guess they do it right after they inject you with the radioactive material.
Yep.
And then they go in and see
You
how.
want to check it out. Yeah. Yeah. So for this with the CT.
The CAT scan was clear, and the test was the same as it was 4 years ago. So the doctor said, you're fine, go on, you probably pulled a muscle or something, but I was worried about the headache, because I don't get headaches. And I said, the first thing I did, I pressed my medical, because I'm white.
Yep. You acted correctly.
Yep.
So you did just what you're supposed to do. Luckily, it wasn't. That's good.
Just usually about being able to get the heart rate up. Is there a general rule, how fast at certain ages you should be able to typically push your heart to be able to?
Yeah.
Like in a treadmill, they say if you get into aerobic level, you gotta go to a certain percentage of the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's a nice little rule of thumb. There's tables and whatnot. Like it's, I can't remember right offhand. It's like 60 or whatever minus your age. That's what you should be. Like like things like that. So as you progress in age, then your heart rate, optimal heart rate, will decrease.
So they did the stress test, they were actually looking at basically my blood pressure, my heart rate,
Oh.
but also electrocardiogram, same thing too. But then at a certain time, they don't want to go any higher. They basically say, can you go more? And I'm just wondering if that's something when you're doing.
You're like,
on
take
your
me
own.
up to the level. Let's do this,
Well,
right?
I just wondered, because I still felt fine. I said, well, but they said no, they got what they want. And whatever they
Yeah.
got.
Yeah.
So once they meet kind of whatever their upper limit of what they found necessary, because if you can handle more, it usually means your heart is just fine. And they've kind of shown that it's good. So that way,
Your regarding that, if you exercise and you don't get into aerobic level, is exercise doing you any good?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exercise is an absolute keystone habit.
Well, why do they say to get into aerobic level? We're actually stressing the heart.
It depends on everybody's situation.
No, I
They
understand,
can't
yeah.
all do the same exercise.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
The aerobic is preferable. It's definitely good. There's a lot of good that comes with exercise even below that level. Just getting up and moving, period, movement in general is very, very, very
It's
positive.
hard with the back, it's hard with the hip replacement, but the one
Yep.
thing I can do and do almost every day is ride 2 miles on my stationary bike.
Wow.
Yeah, while watching Jeopardy.
Of course.
And come to Walgreens.
That's right.
Well, we do that, Sherry. You know that, we're here more than we're home.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
The reason I'm here is because I've had 2 concussions and a brain fracture, a skull fracture.
What do you play?
And,
Football?
Well, I'm the only girl in a bunch of boys, so
Oh, when you were
climb
younger,
that
you
tree.
mean?
Right.
When you were younger?
14 to 20 was during the times that I had them. But I am a musician and I have constant ringing in the brain. It's not in the ears. So I went to this guy and I had the scans and everything. And I'll be 86. So anyway, I had the scans and it showed that I had some strokes. I have never had any of those.
Yeah,
Oh, the markers in the
Right. Never had any markers. And I said, oh, well, when did I have those? And they said, well, we don't know.
But they showed on there.
They show that you've had strokes, but they don't know when you've had them. And so I'm like, I've never had one of those, but I take martazepine in order to, I also have ocular migraines, and I said, you're telling me I've got migraines in my head, but I don't have any pain. He said there are a lot of migraines where you don't have pain.
I had
So
the
I went,
ocular
thank
one.
you,
Yeah.
thank
I had
you.
the ocular one, yeah.
And the martazepine has really, I hardly have them anymore.
Isn't that nice?
And being a musician, I'm a violinist and a pianist. Being a musician, I'm certainly glad because I've had that happen before, like when you drive or you're trying to read music. So I feel absolutely blessed, but I'm so glad you did this because I live with a handicapped person and that has emphysema and is going through all these tests that you all have had. And this will help me keep an eye on her and look for the signs because
Yep.
this is
This is the good
wonderful. I
stuff.
thank you so much for this.
You're very welcome. Yeah, please.
About 2 years ago, I was trying to cut a piece of cake and my arm went numb. So my daughter, who's a paramedic, took me into emergency. And they did all the signs at first, all the testing.
Yep.
And they says, we don't think you're having a stroke, but they did a CT scan. And on the CT scan, they said to me, do you know that you had a brain bleed at one time? And I'm like, and it was in the right cerebellum. And they said it was in the Willis circle, and that a gliosis had formed over it. And I said, I'm sure that this just didn't happen. And they said that they weren't quite sure because I guess they said that you can't tell when a gliosis forms if it happened yesterday or a month ago. And what had happened is 3 days before that, I had gone in for an intensive massage. And what they think might have happened was a piece of plaque or something might have broke loose.
Intensive massage.
And they said that I was very, because
Breaking up parts.
I said to my
my
daughters, I'm like, if I had known better, I said, I feel like I've been out for a couple of drinks. Because I remember walking in the hallway upstairs and sort of walking like funny, And so this was 2 days later that I was hospitalized. And then they did an MRI to confirm that what had happened. Now my question is whether it happened 2 days before or 2 months before or 2 years before. Do I have to worry about that same spot breaking open and bleeding again? that's what they told me, so I figured I'd. Okay. But is that true though, where if a gliosis forms, they can't tell if it was 2 days or 2 months or?
Yeah, really hard. And even with
I have no idea.
even when you were saying like like a mini like little strokes that kind of formed and they found and you didn't know. We spend 8 hours a day sleeping. I mean, you have little TIAs while you're sleeping. It's kind of hard. Like, by the time you wake
that's
up.
a thought, yeah. Could have been
Yeah,
one.
a lot of things you'll just kind of like. A lot of times you just don't kind of notice those kind of
Right.
things.
So in a case like that, because I mean, I know that a stroke versus a brain blade, so
Right,
that's the
right.
hemorrhage. So in a way, I was very fortunate
Yep.
that on its own, the gliosis, because the way I was acting, I probably, if that 2 days later hadn't had that numbness in my arm,
You would have let it go.
wouldn't have gone in.
Right.
But there again, I wouldn't have also known that the gliosis had formed and had stopped bleeding. I mean, I could have been, who knows how long I was bleeding.
You very well may have never known. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
that's
so I
why-
was very fortunate.
Oh, completely. Very and that's
Intensive
the body's kind of always kind
Yeah,
of
don't have that.
redoing itself anyway. It's
In
kind of
your
whenever we go into the
wildlife.
hospital, we start to find out the things that are wrong with us. Because otherwise, you just don't know.
Like you go in for one thing and they tell you something else
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
this.
You know, like just like it's not uncommon. You know, like I'm having a little back pain. If you do a scan of your back, 30 to 40% of people that are having no back pain at all will have some sort of herniation of some disc. That's just common. So therefore, just because you have a herniation doesn't really explain your pain. But now you're worried because, oh my gosh, now I have a herniated disc. You may have had a herniated disc since you were 18. But, you know, like,
Wow.
you didn't really know it because who has MRIs at 18 with their back? You know, so I mean,
But it's
and
scary to hear that.
it is.
You never heard
It is.
That
It is.
really is scary.
I mean, it's one of those things to where like everything that we kind of learn from our lab tests and stuff like that, some are really helpful. Others are just like, eh. You know, like that together with a token got us on the train. Otherwise, it wasn't a real big deal. You know, like I probably have had that for a really long time. You know, it's not probably correlated with what I have right here. So it's always kind of a little hard to know.
Do you have any diet suggestions that might help us ward off the possibilities of stroke?
For stroke?
Good question.
Yep. Heart healthy diet. It's the same exact one for heart. Heart is the same for stroke. They even put like heart and stroke health together an awful lot of time because a lot of it has to do with blood vessels, right? It's all
Yeah.
blood vasculature. It all has to do with clots. It all has to do with blood pressure. It all has to do with all of the same kind of risk factors. They're all the same kind of constellation. So the heart healthy diet that they always kind of tell you to do, American Heart Association huge with like try to cut out as many sugary drinks, you know, like keep your sugars, you know, like out of your diet as best you possibly can. You know, which isn't fun at all.
I know.
Lots of plan, that
How
kind of
good is
thing.
dark chocolate for you with the flavonoids? Tell me it's very good.
Yes.
You like milk chocolate?
Moderation, you know. I think a dark chocolate company did
bought
that
some.
research and they found that it was good in some way. So they were like, ooh, this will be great. Give everybody an excuse to have some.
Small amounts.
Small amounts,
I
everything's good.
think that's what caused my problem. I used to eat a lot of chocolate.
Yeah.
That's what caused my closure in my arteries.
Well, that's other things.
Chocoholic.
Maybe
Yeah.
3 Hershey bars a day.
I like chocolate.
Yeah.
You do like chocolate, don't you?
I know we're not
I
adding,
understand.
you have not a company.
I understand.
I cut it.
You're not alone.
What's not to like?
So we should,
I have a friend who had digestive problems. They put stents in for digestive problems.
Really?
The blood flow, stuff like that, or wherever,
where's that?
whatever.
no kidding,
So-
wow.
Where we notice this the most in the way of just kind of health in general is in the brain and the heart, because those are kind of showstoppers. Okay, something happens to the heart, you're gonna know it, and it will definitely affect everything right away. And the brain, it controls everything. So like even a little clot that controls only an area like this big will make it to where you can't even walk. Like you can't speak, you can't do this. Like very small things can make big effects in those two areas. The same type of thing happens in every other artery of your It's not just those few. So that's why, like, even like stents, renal artery stents, kidneys, to open up the flow to the kidneys to make those a little bit easier and better. They do stents for all kinds of stuff.
How about red wine?
A little moderation for that too. It falls in the same category as like the dark chocolate.
Put it in it,
Yeah.
unless you're allergic to it, like I am. I have an allergy to
If
it.
you have an allergy,
allergic to
then it's not good.
One sip, my earlobes turn red, my arms hang.
Oh,
That's how I
wow.
feel. I cannot drink.
So I have to suffer.
You suffer. You're gonna suffer.
You look like life is
I
real
can
tough.
drink
Your
scotch,
life's
but I
really
can't
tough.
drink wine. I'm allergic to wine too.
Oh, really? Are you allergic to grapes?
Was
No? Oh, must be in the fermentation process or
kind
something.
of neat about our
The
relationship.
molds and the,
Oh, yeah.
and
At least 3 times a week, I get the most wonderful foot massage.
So how much scotch do you
I need
have?
that.
I was afraid of what she's
not
gonna say.
anymore.
The setup, we were like, where are we going with this one?
That's okay, she's over 21.
A little bit.
Yeah, with the meal.
Yes, indigestion.
That'd be
real bad.
good.
My
Before a
husband
meal.
was okay, and he'll say to me sometimes, how will I ever know if I'm having a heart attack? He says because sometimes with indigestion he'll get such severe pain. But usually after, like Salem, we'll take a tum or two or Rolaids, if it doesn't go away, then obviously, you have problems, but.
That's exactly how you kind of differentiate them. How often do they happen? Does he need medication on a regular basis
No,
to
he
kind of
doesn't.
help out with it, or no?
Depends too a lot on what he eats.
Yeah.
But usually at night, I notice, but what his problem is too is he'll eat and then he'll lay down.
Yeah.
And I also tell him that that's not a good thing, because everything
Everything kind of
bamps out,
meshes
so,
up.
he'll like, hey, can someone give me a Rolade,
Yeah.
But I mean,
Let's see
how
if
do
it's no longer on the search.
yeah, so how do you, I mean, is that how you would differentiate?
That's
If
exactly
you
how
take
they
a Rolade
differentiate
or two?
in the emergency room or stuff like that. They would give like a liquid, like a Mylanta or like that kind of thing, or Citra, basically like a liquid form, to where like it neutralizes all the stomach acid and that pain should resolve very
And
short.
if it doesn't, then,
If it doesn't,
then you know.
well, you've at least ruled out the fact that it's not your belly.
Right.
So the next thing you'd be concerned about would be the heart, but like if it's one of those things that's relatively common, like he just ate stuff that causes indigestion. He laid down and now he's having that pain. Everything there kind of fits.
Right.
You know
But
what I
now
mean?
a person really shouldn't lay
Does the
down
pharmacy know all
Correct.
that?
within a couple of hours.
Very
after.
correct.
Oh, yeah.
See, the difference
Yeah,
being is like
because
if
they
we go
should
in and
be on
watch a
your
movie,
profile.
I'll sit up and watch the movie. He likes to be
Lay down.
horizontal
Yeah.
and watch a movie. So I should tell him maybe to try to sit up a little bit more. And one last thing, I have a friend that had a stroke a couple of years ago, about the same time I did. And they told him, don't drink beer anymore, drink wine. So now he takes it to the extreme. And sometimes he has 5 or 6 glasses of wine.
More is better, right?
And it's not good either,
No,
right?
no.
So it's all a moderation type
Well,
thing.
that's
That's
what we
why
try
it's
telling
tough.
them,
Like,
I mean, don't have the wine until you pass out.
right. If a little's good, a lot's better. And that
But he
kind of
feels
thing.
since he's
Usually
retired,
not.
that he can drink
What else
himself.
do you have to do? Huh?
Probably used to have a couple 6-packs.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I used to have a 6-pack. That's 6 glasses of wine.
It all seems reasonable. It just doesn't work out exactly. the same,
No,
you
well,
know,
that's what
like-
we try telling him, so I'll let him know. Pardon me?
You were talking about your husband. and
Yes.
food. Well, we had a problem because we had gone to the airport with my brother-in-law, so he go back to California. This was 57 going back. So they had a coleslaw. My husband wasn't feeling too good. He said, it was the stuff I ate. I said, I'm going to go to sleep. I said, no, you're not. I'm calling the doctor. Don't even think about it. You should call and check on it because he said, take him to the hospital. Like an idiot back then, I drove all the way up to North Avenue. And he was turning everything but blue and green. I got him there. I went in. The doctor came because he met us there. But he was a little late. And I called him. I says, they're working with somebody. I was screaming. I said, they're worried. He cut his hand and they want to know who's going to pay for the stitches. I went up to them and I said, happened. I said, you got a man dying in there and you're worried about collecting on stitches. If you don't get in there, you're gonna have a lot more worries to handle. By that time the doctor got there. If you don't talk up sometime, and he did have a heart attack. That time he was kept there for a month. And he couldn't go back to work for 3 months. We had a little grill. I had to run it with everybody else, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go working. Thank God I had a lot of friends, including the police and everybody else. They'd be there to see I got in time. Nobody was there with me. But don't consider it's
Right.
food.
Yeah, I looked at it.
Because he had that heart attack.
Do you want a muffin?
But he lasted till he was 89.
They're all kinds of
Oh, he
muffins.
did pretty good. That's pretty good. He did.
Yeah, I want that one.
There has been a concern
There's a
about
plate.
many people that have been diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's that have already had a stroke, and that's what they've been,
You want a napkin?
what they were misdiagnosed for the cause of the Alzheimer's or dementia when they have already had a stroke to start with. And that concerns me because I deal with a lot of elderly and have lost a lot of elderly friends. I wonder how often that has happened with misdiagnoses and
Misdiagnosis and a lot of things.
Yep.
Not just that.
yeah.
That's why they always say it's the practice of medicine.
Yeah.
Everybody's just practicing. You're not perfect at it,
Not perfect, nothing.
right?
Well, my daughter is a surgical nurse.
Mm,
My son is a cancer researcher.
yes.
He's a molecular geneticist.
Oh, he's one of the smart kids, huh?
He's yeah. And I think a lot of these health things come from genetics, from genes, because
They're starting to learn a lot more about that too. It's very exciting stuff.
right.
Very exciting.
That sure brings up a good point.
I was at the
Doctors
last
A good
practice
point.
medicine, when does it become perfect? And they perfect medicine.
We have a long way to go from that.
But I mean, it's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you
I
think
mean,
you're
it's,
just practicing?
you know, in medicine, you're reminded a lot of times that you don't know everything. It happens all the time. Like, it's extremely common that somebody will come in and you'll be like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. And nobody else does either. We've tried everything. We just don't know what's wrong, you know?
That's right.
It's not impossible, like we just don't have all
It's
the
just
answers.
a word, but nobody stops to think about it.
Sure, and anything with a syndrome attached to it basically means we don't know what's going on. We just know that these constellation of symptoms fit together. So that's all a syndrome is anyway. That really usually means we don't know what's going on.
But y'all do a great job.
We try. We try, but like
Knowing what
it's
it
not
is,
perfect at all.
right.
That's why like being a good advocate for everybody, like if you need to kind of get in and be seen right away, then we get in and be
We
seen.
don't get general practitioners,
Yes.
you know, now we've got specialists. I mean, I had a
It's
finger
getting
Oh,
better.
yeah.
work done now from a hand doctor. I mean, everything is so special.
Yeah, but doesn't your specialist work with your practitioner?
Hopefully.
Well, they recommend it.
Mine does with all of them. Actually, we're working on something right now, the cardiologist and my specialist. And she said, well, we're checking on something. We'll take the test, we'll get back to you. Hey, it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
working on it.
92, I'll be 93 in
Wow,
March.
all right.
Congratulations, you look great.
Like
Yes.
Sherry was just telling me out there.
Got
I
good
got a new
genes,
thing
yeah.
now for
I was at the
tinnitus,
last
which
class.
I've had since I was 35.
Really?
And
Don't think it's just.
it's annoying, but you get used to it after a while.
What is check?
What they
So
do.
the doctors
I don't know,
do.
she didn't tell me, she was going to give us
If
information.
I had
You're
to work
working
on
on
every day
everything.
going to sleep.
I think she meant something, I think, for the thank you too, because this is kind of unusual to be able to give doctors and talk with you.
You're welcome. No problem.
no.
It's my pleasure.
No, I think it's very good.
Yeah.
I recently had an argument with a doctor, the first time in my whole life, a cardiologist, very well known in Carolina. And he wasn't listening to me. He walked out of the room. And it was like, oh, we'll see you in a month. And I said, oh, I know what it was. I passed out in the clubhouse. And took me to Bolingbrook. Bolingbrook ran a lot of tests. And so I had signed an authorization to send a copy of the test to others. And well, anyway, he says to me, well, we didn't get it. And his nurse comes in and says, well, I lost it. I don't know what happened to it.
Oh.
So I was PO'd about that. Anyway, he walked out of the office, and he said to me, you should have brought me a course. Well, I went to Bolingbrook, which, by the way, I've had really good results at Bolingbrook. Although all my doctors are good. And I asked for the reports, and they gave it to me immediately on disc.
Yeah.
And I had them in my possession, and his office hours in Plainfield on Thursday. And I walked in there because they had told me they didn't have time to see me. And I walked in there and I said to his secretary, here's the reports from Bolingbrook. By the way, I am so angry with your boss. And all of a sudden I heard a voice from the back of the partition. Who's the pretty lady that's mad at me? He came around and I said, you.
He's covering his,
And I said, here's your reports. Is this what you want? Yeah, but you should have brought them with you in the first place. And I said, okay, but I want to see you in 2 months. This is the guy that told me at that appointment that I had an aneurysm on the aorta, and that if I had surgery done, which was supposed to be done within 60 days, I wouldn't last on the table. And so the whole situation was bad. But I made the appointment to went, and I went in to see him. By the way, I've been telling everybody how bad this guy had treated me.
I wouldn't go back. I'd find another
but I went
doctor.
back because I wanted to see what was going to happen. And I had an MRA, and he said, well, the aneurysm hasn't changed. So just hold true with it. And I sat there with a smile on my face. And he came up to me and he said, Miss Borleski, I didn't expect to see you for you to come and see me again. I apologize. Remember, whatever happened in April, this was June, whatever happened in April, the word may have gotten to him that I was really upset with him. But I don't want to go back to him. And I'm researching other cardiologists. That Midwest heart is too big and it's too much. I'm going to just try to explain it. Yeah. But anyway, if you only knew how
depends on the situation.
Oh, yeah.
No, I relied on him. I had faith in him. And not even want to talk to him because he was, whatever. One nurse said to me, well, he might have had a bad day that day.
Oh, too bad. We haven't had any, have we?
And then he told me I was going to die on the table. My dad died on April 11th. I had an appointment with him on April 14th, and he's telling me, you're going to die on the table. My dad died on the table at Loyola. So April 11th, my mom died. April is not a good time for me. You have to tell me something like that.
Wasn't your primary? Do you have any suggestions?
The primary was the one who recommended it. Well, he knows about this. Yeah. But see, they don't want to get involved.
Argue with the other doctor.
Oh, no.
Doctors don't want to fight other,
And I guess his DuPage medical group started taking over some of this stuff. And I heard about it.
That's who I'm with right
But if
now.
I'm walking around with an aneurysm,
I just want to commend everybody and thank everybody for being such courageous fighters for your own
I
lives.
never did it my whole life.
It just
let them have it.
I mean, your stories are just
We were always told
knock
to
me
be
out.
out of the
They're just-
doctor. Listen to the doctor. Don't
and how we
listen.
have to fight
Yeah.
We gotta
and have the courage.
commend men like him.
Yeah, thank you for, we all
It's
have
all for you guys, because you
to.
guys are able to help everybody else. Because if there's somebody that's having a stroke around you, it'll be you guys that'll actually be saving them.
But I keep saying that anything is you have to be your own advocate.
Yes,
Like
you
if
do.
you're not happy with the doctor or you're not getting the results
Well,
of the
with
doctor,
this
they're
situation,
not perfect.
I don't trust him now, see?
I mean, some
Right.
people
No,
walk
depends
into a
on
doctor's
someone
office and
trust.
say, oh, I'm going to God.
Gary.
That's
If you
right.
don't get an answer or you're not feeling better after a certain amount of time, then seek another doctor. Because that
Yeah,
doctor
seek
might
another
have
doctor.
had a certain situation before, come across something.
Yeah, you're
where
in
he
charge
might
of your
know.
own
I mean,
life.
I have a friend.
they're not
that's
walking
going through that.
textbooks. I mean, you can only retain so much. One doctor.
There's so many doctors, and
might
you never
have
know.
studied with
Some have the
different
answers.
group of doctors that might know more information.
No,
So you
but
have to
I
be
need to get
your
rid of
own
these muffins I
advocate.
bought this morning. I bought so many
And
muffins.
that's not saying that your doctor is bad. It's just you can't expect, I don't think, one person to know everything. But that doesn't mean if you go and seek another doctor.
Here, I'll throw it away for you.
No, that's all right. I mean, I've known some people that have sometimes seeked out several doctors or specialists before they have gotten the answer.
Like I was telling you about my dad and his shoulder that they still don't know. I've had him see, I think, probably 6 different doctors from different specialties. And all of them are very good doctors in their own specialty. But I wasn't satisfied with any of their answers. So I'll just move from one to the next, and like until you become kind of comfortable with, well, I think we've tried everything we can, like that's the end of the line. I don't know what else to do at that point,
Right. Then
So-
you pretty much say if they're all saying the same thing.
They're all in agreement. At that point, like,
Then-
everybody's in agreement.
Right.
Everybody, like, even though I don't like the answer, like, okay, well, but at least at that point, like, always have the courage, like, if you don't, if you're not in love with what they're telling you, second opinion, there's no harm with that. They're not going to get, like,
But I don't know, going
upset
for a second
kind of thing.
opinion in that same group, I don't think it's such a hot idea.
No,
Yeah, you can go to
You want a
group,
different
go
group.
anywhere
You want a
want.
different group.
Yeah, go anywhere you want.
Why did they sit when they tell you to stay in the mic rack? Can't get up with it.
Blood clots and whatnot like that.
Is it just because you're restricted?
Okay. Yep.
You're sitting down, you're not moving, your blood's moving. Okay? You get more puffy on flights anyway because the pressure is different. Okay? You take a water bottle on the flight. Okay? Once you get up pretty high, it's about ready to explode. Right? The pressure, even though they pressurize the cabins, they're not pressurized to ground temperature perfectly. Okay? So what it does is it allows everything to kind of swell. Okay? So 2 things concurrently are happening. Like, there's no real, you're not walking around, which is one of the main big ways of moving kind of things back up is through movement. So as you like exercise, a lot of the benefit is just like moving around all the lymphatic flow in your body. Okay, so even if you don't get aerobic, you're still moving everything, which is very positive. So there, you're not moving it, and you have pressure that's not really doing you much good either. So you can get blood clots just because your blood is kind of staying static, making a clot up. Then when you get off and you start walking around, now the blood clot can mobilize. Usually gets stuck in the lung. Usually gets stuck in the lung. You get a pulmonary embolism. That's what they usually want. Get up and walk around. So usually on flights, if you can get up and just kind of walk around a little bit, kind of move everything around to keep everything from being static. So it's the same reason why it's not good to kind of lay around, sit around all day. Even if you're sick and not feeling terribly well, if you can get up and move, what you're going to be doing is kind of moving everything to mobilize your body's ability to heal itself. So when they're like, oh, stay in bed for 3 days, like don't get up, that's very old thinking. Don't do that anymore. I mean, if you can't get up, obviously, or like you get up and get dizzy, and that's a risk, then don't. But otherwise, if you can, and it's safe to get up and go, then get up and go. Anything else, guys? You've been sitting too long. It's time to get up and get moving. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Always. Likewise.
Did you hear there are some goodies out here to be
Oh yeah, they have muffins and all kinds of good stuff out here for you.
good stuff.
Yes.
Oh, got kids.
Oh, a goodie bag. Is that got some stuff? Nope.
Yeah, and then there's water and muffins.
Oh my. I'll give you my and that way, like if they want to read in there, then that's fine.
It's
Definitely. Just call the piano office.
Dolores said she didn't have enough time to get ready, but then I thought my friend Myrna was gonna come, but she didn't end up coming. She only lives across the street, so I thought she could. But they've got to make it to vitamin D. You want to send that thing in green, right?
Yeah.
That's pistachio.
Interesting.
What's this?
Okay, thank you. Dr. Hall. He was excellent. And then, Prvention came. Yeah, oh, that was great. Oh, that was great.
Is that
So you can just, they can just email.
Flashlight, do you want a flashlight?
Oh, that's cute.
Right here?
Oh!
There's a pedometer in there too.
Oh, there's
I've never been to
Oh my
Vegas.
God.
This is perfect.
I'm ready for a muffin, no matter what it is.
That's a good story.
A banana nut.
Oh, you know the way he talks.
Jan Johnson. No, I play for our non-denominational Saturdays over in Romeoville. I've been in Carolina for 12 plus years. I'm also allergic to wine.
Are you really?
Yes.
I
But
love
not
it.
Scotch.
Can't drink it. No, you're right. That's exactly it.
With a little lime. Yep. It's, I'm allergic to salt, ice, mold.
I can drink, but how much of a champagne? I don't do it very often.
Isn't that funny? Because
You say you're a musician?
violinist, pianist.
Oh, I love a
I used to
violin.
sing with Harry Como.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I love violin.
32 commercials.
Oh my goodness.
That was always something I would have
Belonged to
liked
4
to take
different
up.
unions.
That's something I would have liked to taken up, violin.
No, my father was
I never
I
did.
started violin. My mother was a violinist. My parents played
My
this.
dad belonged to a mandolin club for years.
What are all these things here?
I don't think I will.
These are first aid kits. I wonder what this is.
That's the water.
I'm just going to wrap mine in a thing and not stay again.
What is this?
Those little, these are nice. Did you see this?
Yeah, I have them in my car.
First aid
Aren't they nice?
She will
Yeah.
take a bag and put stuff in it you want.
Yeah,
Where
I
is
think
she?
so. That's-
There's the bags. The big blue bag.
Thank you.
Yep, take a bag. Most of the bags have these items in it. These were just.
Oh, they do?
But we've loaded up the bags already. So
Oh, you did? Oh, that's great. That's great.
Except these.
Except for the.
We got a whole box of just one.
This one.
Two things that happen before you. Because you can get the results back very quickly. All those come back real fast, and then that gives you the opportunity to see like, how big a problem, or do we have a medium-sized problem that we can kind of like work with, you know? It's okay. It doesn't look bad. It'll come in your head. It's not a heart attack, but let's look at the chest and everything that you're having here. Maybe you're stressed. Things for you. None of that stuff needs to happen like right now.
That's the one that like everyone has. Like that just looks like a bracelet. No one even knows what it is.
Right.
The other ones, I don't like how they look. That one I would really. I think that one's like $100.
Oh, sorry.
It all kind of fits together. You know what I mean?
Living after a while, some of the stuff starts getting become more of a problem. Get by it.
So like filming our
I
They'll have you all stitched up and ready to go.
That's the fun thing about it, because I don't have a permit. We have a friend, we were involved with that sports summer games here. And then later, she says, "Oh, you gotta go to the doctor." She says, "While we're there, might as well understand."
While we're here, right? Might as well. Hey, I noticed that could be stinted open, right? So it just, you just have to believe there's research. You know what I mean? Like,
After so many years, they about the problem. So I said, "What do you do next?" And they said, "Well, they have to try to go back and open up the business."
yeah. Sometimes it's
You can find them everywhere, all different brands. Like they have some
other
on
times, like,
Amazon.
it could
And
be
even
kind
the
of
Indie
parts
has
of the
some
wall
similar
here
to theirs.
that have kind of like broken off. And now, like, because everything's flowing this direction anyway. So when that like breaks off, you're gonna go this way. Like, all kinds of things can cause that. It was like physical activity. Sitting down, you don't have to be doing anything. You know, like a massage. You know what I mean? Like,
His dad ended up having leukemia. He went for regular blood. They just used the blood transfusion. And later on, when he went in there, we were going to pick him up, and all of a sudden he developed a problem. And they figured it was a clot, and basically he was barely dying. The liver shut down, everything shut down. The blood flow was I mean, he did. He was going to our country. He's having heart problems. I don't know if he was that kid, but anyway, they were ready to go. He was going to something. He had cancer. He had cancer. And he had a radiation treatment. And it turned out by doing the treatment, they did protect his part of the aorta or something like that. And he ended up building up a heart area.
One of those charm things that we saw yesterday.
He was having heart problems. They knew they were getting what to do. They were ready to do open heart surgery. They tried to put the stent in. They were lucky to get a stent. So they didn't avoid the surgery. I think the thing is, I'd love to see him come to the machine and says, "Hey, you have a chest problem. The doctor says you got a chest problem." Go see him. Every time I say you got a chest problem, they say, "Well, call a break." I say, "Well, I mean, I don't like that. So do that, but yet, how do you distinguish the stomach problem from the chest problem, from the joint problem, and all that other stuff?" So that you can say, "Yeah, it's a heart problem, something that's a monitor or something."
doing implantable devices or something like this, where they'll implant a device underneath the skin, and what it does is it continually reads for certain markers in the blood. They can actually, they rise before even heart attacks. Now, if it's one of these type things where it's a clot and breaks off, you can't really tell that that's coming. But if it's a simple narrowing and your heart's getting stressed, it'll release these kind of like enzymes, so to speak. These make it aware. It goes to your smartphone. It also goes to the doctor. Where they'll be like, "You need to come in. We need to see you." That's prior to you having a heart attack. Like that's the kind of cutting edge, really cool technology that's coming out right now.
Can't beat free vitamin D.
It's like that's where it gets really cool. Like once you do that stuff, now that's like now you can tell a heart attack or to a heart attack. I mean, that's very
You know, I never heard from the owner of your salon to see about.
Really?
No,
I asked her
I
again.
left her a message,
You know, like,
and I just need to call back.
Your doctor?
Did you get your hair done?
No, about flu shot clinic. Normally, a store nearby will have done it the last couple years, but I won't mind stealing them away.
Jen's bad with that.
That's very nice.
You know, she doesn't.
You get anxious?
And then Walgreens, no matter which store, will offer a discounted rate if someone is uninsured. But we bill most insurance.
My mind starts getting upset. Starting to get worse all the time. Anyway, okay, well, very good. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I think you'll do good over it, but you probably never get out of the building though.
Hopefully it's coming back in November. Hopefully
That's
we have to
right, that's
finalize
right.
a date, and I'll let you know. Okay, folks?
We might miss November.
Yeah, go ahead and try to.
We might
like,
miss November because
see if
we're
they
in
want.
Hawaii, so,
Oh.
but that's okay.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, when
we
you
wanna
have to
come
miss
with
for
you.
Hawaii, then you just have to miss for Hawaii.
We should all have it
Like,
there.
Life is tough sometimes.
Yeah.
This is my son's girlfriend.
Well, very good.
Liz.
Thank you very much.
She
Thanks for your
She wants
time.
to know where you got your bracelet. She wants one like that.
Oh, like Fitbit?
Yeah, I've been seeing it.
I can
I
fit
think
it
I
on somewhere. Yeah, I get mine off of Amazon. I was out toothing
I
on a
told
lake
you.
last week and I just lost it, so I had to get
What
another one.
about, yeah, let's do.
And what all does that one do?
This one doesn't do a ton, but it will do. I'll show you. So like on the app, what it does is it kind of show you in real time, kind of how well you're throughout the day. So that's today. This is today. It's like actually once it syncs up, there's Bluetooth in here that also has Bluetooth on your phone. So as you're actually moving, it kind of calculates how many steps you actually do.
Wouldn't that make a nice
you can
gift for
actually-
somebody?
In real time, you can actually tell,
automatically.
like it'll tell you
Wouldn't that
how
be
long
a
you've
wonderful
gone,
gift?
how many calories you've burned. They kind of try to calculate that as best they can, how many active, how much you weigh. Sleep, you can log your sleep too. Like where you can, and your sleep is cool. I haven't done time the sleep part, but it can tell you like how restless you are when you're sleeping. It doesn't turn a whole lot. It actually, it kind of monitors that too. Completely and totally cool. And you can see like throughout the day, when you've been active and stuff like that. Like you could call like for me, like I was in the hospital last night. So the nights like I was up and doing stuff. Like just tell you like a certain amount of like steps, how many steps. You can program it to be how many steps you want.
Can
And
you
it'll like
program it for other stuff like how much water you have?
Banana nut.
Some of them do that.
I don't like the log stuff. Yeah, you can have how much water you've had each day and stuff.
And that's
Get all
called a
automated. If I
Fitbit.
have to do much, then it doesn't work for me. Because I always forget. I'm really bad. Like I always I'll forget everything. But this is kind of cool. I have it just programmed for 10,000 steps, so it'll like go off and it'll ring. Like it doesn't like ring, but like it'll vibrate whenever I hit like 10,000 steps. And it's almost like you get like a little reward. It's like you just like, hey, so you almost like if it's toward the end of the day and it hasn't gone off yet, you're like. Have I not worked out? Have I not done anything today? Like, and then it'll catch days to where like, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, I guess I haven't been doing anything today. I didn't go to the gym, but I didn't really walk either. Like I didn't do anything. That's what I've basically used it for. Like so some days, like you'll notice, like the last week and stuff is like knocked it off. Like some days will be like a ton, and other ones won't be very much at all. Where you can kind of it'll send you like just alerts and stuff like that if you want. They cost like $100.
You have to just set it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, sleep is real easy. Like all you have to do, like if I were to go to sleep right now, like there, like kind of like 2 out of 5 stars. It means like between 4,000 steps. So it'll tell you in real time. Now, if you just click it like this, it'll do that. Now, I just told it that I went to sleep, and then in the morning when I wake up, it's a really short sleep. So now it's back on, and it knows that I'm awake.
So that one doesn't do everything. So
There's one that does. There's one that does even more. I think it even has like a watch component. It has like an alarm component.
This would be enough.
It's got. This is enough for me. Yeah. Like this one's like, and they have different color bands. But like it's
I
called
like the sleep
it's called the
part,
Fitbit.
because I get up a lot.
And then you can kind of like, this is what I like to do. I can track my dad and see how much activity he's been doing. I can call him up and be like, you've only had 46,000 steps this week. What's going on? You know, which he doesn't like that at all.
Gotta be an arm.
I know. It's like he still has to work out. He still has to work out.
He has to work out that
you know,
one
like,
arm.
and then like my nieces and stuff like that, and I have like a little comment, like so like it has it to where like you can kind of like if you just not like gotten off the couch all week, like what are you doing this week? You know what I'm saying? So like it's a way for me to monitor him in a sense, but like. You can with other people, you know, like some people like aren't wearing theirs anymore, but like some people like Jared and his wife, you can tell there's a big activity difference between the two. Like Lisa likes to walk a lot, 121,000 like steps, and Jared's 35. It's like he's you know like she I guess doesn't get him to walk a ton with him. So yeah, it's a cool
Amazon.
device. Yeah.
It's called
Fitbit.
Fitbit. Okay.
Yeah, and you can get it just from their website. Like it's on the website. Just
Yeah.
go to Fitbit if you Google it. I just buy it. It's super easy.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank
Completely.
you.
You got
It
it.
was a pleasure meeting you.
Great.
Bye,
Real
Sharon.
pleasure.
Bye. Thank you for coming again.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
They're going to be getting rid of my email that you have.
What?
I
Is
have,
this part of the reorganization of Sherry?
which is so stupid.
What's going on with that?
I have the take care email because I help out here.
Yeah.
The only ones that have an email here is the pharmacy manager and the store manager. So, hi, you back? Okay. They were here this morning and they had to bring a parent. So, they might have to check in again. So I have to use my personal email for now. So I want to make sure that you have that. They're going to end at the end of this month. And it makes it incredibly difficult to speak with all the clients that I have to
Yeah, so how do you do that?
until I get approved.
For a Walgreens.com one or for a
If they want to give it to
take
me.
care?
But thank you
Shame
again
they're
for
making
coming.
it so hard for you because like
Yeah, it does make it hard.
they're shining stars. Why are they making it so challenging?
Story of my life.
That's a real pain.
They want you to be more and more productive. Well, there's some gotta help me.
That's really interesting about the merger and everything.
Isn't
I
that?
haven't heard anything about that.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
No
man.
problem.
I really
Did you get
appreciate
enough
it.
pictures? I tried to run back and forth here a little bit.
Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. Good.
Thanks. No, it's
Good.
awesome.
That worked out well then.
No, it's perfect.